let's get into it. We got about 30 minutes here until market close. Have a very busy day here, so I just wanted to get this out very early. One of the cool things about being in LA is, you can wake up, trade early, and still be done early. Like for me, market closes at 1 p.m., so I'm able to get everything done as the day is just getting started. So let's get into it. Coming into today. Also, I posted the live trading session from today's session. I highly recommend going to watch that. A lot of useful insight in there based on risk management, RR, not chasing the open, stuff like that. Today was a really good educational day, in my opinion, so I highly recommend going to check that out. You'll also see some setups that are going to set up for tomorrow if you check out today's live trading session. It was a great day today. Quick 2-hour trade, quick scalp here on SPY to the upside. So, nevertheless, let's start here with SPY. So, something that we already know is we're in a news-driven market. We know that. I expected something big coming into this week, not because I know all or see all, but because I was at dinner and I think I saw the news on my phone like we reached a deal, that we're going to sign a deal, like peace and war deal with Iran. I was like, okay, well, that's definitely going to cause something to shake, whether it's going to be good or bad. And lo and behold, right, we just had a crazy gap up in the market for obvious reasons. So I think we all kind of saw this coming. But nevertheless, so coming into today, my game plan was, like I said, watch that live trading session. Coming into today, before the gap up, it was, well, long over 744. That was beautiful, right? Long over 744, you're breaking range. But we ended up pushing up into 752. And you can see here, this was like my A plus shot. This was my main focus coming into market open. I love the reaction here off my key level, 752 here on SPY. And we ended up just having a gap and go. We just had a gap and go. So what does that mean? We just never got the retest off of our key level. So I know what I'm looking for going into tomorrow. I'm looking for this pullback long off of 752. Now, there's two ways you can go into this going into tomorrow. As I always say, you can have a bias, just never marry a bias. This is the previous day low, and all of this is a gap fill to the downside. So we can very much so see that going into tomorrow. For me, the more conservative play, and this is just how I'm looking at things, so I'm just kind of, putting you in my mind. The higher time frame is bullish. We're in a trending market. We just had a crazy gap up. The S&P 500 we know is very bullish. So I don't care for that. What I would rather do, and this is just me, is just be patient and wait for the dip buy. And then I can be in a position down here before we make our way back up here. That's how I'm looking at this. But either way, right, I'm looking for this, pullback long, 752, looking for that retest. If you're looking for the short under that, it's a valid play. You're under the previous day low, right? And it's a gap fill play to the downside. That's a valid play. I just don't want to short a bullish trending market on the weekly and on the daily time frame. Just doesn't make sense to me. So for me, I'm looking for a long off of 752, or I'm going to be very patient and wait for this pullback long off of 744, waiting for that range to turn into support after or if we fill that gap. We are not that far away from all-time highs. If tomorrow is a little flat, really can't be too surprised. It is the day before FOMC, so just keep that in mind. But that's the game plan for me going into tomorrow here on SPY. I'll give you a quick rundown. The trade that I took today was literally just a dip buy. I was able to identify the trend here on SPY. The dips were getting bought up very aggressively, so I just waited for the break and retest once I realized that, okay, I'm not going to get a retest here off my higher time frame key level. It was a gap and go. That's the part of the game. Sometimes you just don't get the retest, right? So I noticed, and I would really only do this on a name that's trending and that's bullish, and that was the S&P today. And so I just played the break and retest here for a quick scalp. We broke through the highs, where you can see there was clear sellers here pushing it down. We got a big breakout momentum candle. What is the most important entry criteria to the break and retest? Displacement. Very nice displacement. Entered on this candle here. Quick 2-to-1. Went about my day. So that's all she wrote. So that was the trade today here on SPY. Very beautiful. Qs. So as you guys know, I don't trade off of pre-market highs and lows, but whenever we do get a crazy gap up, I do mark it out just for context reference, just to say, okay, we're above the pre-market high, pre-market low, and now I know that buyers or sellers are in control. And beautiful here on Qs, crazy gap and go as well here on the Qs. You can see we broke outside of that pre-market high, and we made our way all the way up to 744 here on the Qs. So not that far away. Qs is not that far from all-time highs. If you zoom out here on the daily, give me one sec. You zoom out here on the daily. I mean, look at that. Crazy gap. Crazy, crazy gap. So we're not that far away from all-time highs here on Qs. So going into tomorrow, what am I looking for? Well, longs over 747. And then you pretty much just got blue sky territory. If you go on the 4-hour time frame, you'll realize that that is a key level with some solid reactions there. Remember, we're sitting at all-time highs, so we're kind of just working with what we got. So I would keep that in mind. You can see here on the intraday, Qs is a little bit stronger here than SPY, right? You can see SPY pulling back after making highs on the day, and you can see Qs still sitting very strong and very high here going into the end of day. So just keep that in mind. So for me, I'm looking for longs here over 747 on the Qs. If we fall into that PDL, going into tomorrow, you can pretty much just expect a gap fill to the downside. IWM, small caps, filled this gap. It fell back under the previous day high, statistically speaking. If we open above the previous day high and sellers get back under the previous day high, it is most likely to pull back to the previous day low. So you can see we got under the previous day high, and sellers were pretty much just in control for the majority of the day after our very large gap up here on IWM. Funny enough, the previous day close is roughly around here, so technically we still didn't fully fill the gap here on IWM. But what would I like to see? Right, this is right off the weekly outlook. We know this is a channel, so IWM is doing exactly what we want. I want this pullback. I want to see this channel 293 and between 293 and 287 turn into support. If you look here on the daily, you can see every time we pushed up into 293, it was a key supply area. Look at the candle we had on Friday. We ended up catching a beautiful trade over 293 on Friday, but we see the damage, and look where the body of the candle closed, right under 293. So we just made new all-time highs. This is the first time we've pretty much are going to get a daily candle closure above 293. Watch that. This is the dip buy. Watch that. You want to see 293 now turn into support. So I'm definitely looking for this tomorrow as well. IWM's definitely been on my radar lately. I've been messing with it, been taking some trades on it. Looks really good. If it's hot, it's hot. It's trending. It's bullish. It looks good. It's stair-stepping higher. As you can see, I want to see this dip buy off of 293 on IWM going into tomorrow. If we fall under 293, then you just be patient. It doesn't mean that we're bearish now. What do you notice here? This was also a key level, a channel. What do? We broke this range. We still need to retest that. That will still be a proper dip buy, stair-stepping higher here on IWM off of 287. So that's the game plan going into tomorrow on IWM. Tesla. So I've spoke about Tesla. I've elaborated on this a good amount. If you ask anyone who trades Tesla, with some real size or just on a consistent basis, they would even tell you like Tesla's pretty trash right now, to be completely honest. We've already went over this in the weekly outlook. Really didn't do too much last week. It did its job. It held the bottom of the range, 283, very, very well. And what did it just do today? Beautiful reaction off of 416, right? We pushed up into that. We got slapped in the face. History likes to repeat itself. We got slapped in the face. So we're still in this range here on Tesla. If you caught, like I said, watch that live trading session. If you caught a nice pullback long off the PDH, maybe you got paid fairly well. I was looking at it in real time on zeros, and when that did set up, the IV was sitting around roughly 95 to 98%. So definitely something I wouldn't have touched. But if you feel like Tesla's been a little tough for you, like I said, it's in a range. Today was honestly not even a beautiful day on Tesla. The one thing I was giving Tesla credit for is it had some nice days where you can see we've had some nice, price range movement, some big moves. Look at that, even Friday. And then look at today. So out of the last 5 days, today was like the worst day on Tesla. Absolutely nothing. But this is why we treat these things as no trade zones. Right? I'm not surprised when I see something like that because it's just stuck in a range on the higher time frame. But let's go here on the 1 minute. I mean, guys, this is beautiful. These are the plays that gives me conviction, right? These are the type of things that gives me confidence and convictions in my trade, where I pull that trigger with no hesitation if or when it sets up. What was our key level coming into today? 416. Beautiful, on the dot. That should tell you how strong this level is, right? I made a video on higher time frame key levels for a reason. This is not a coincidence, right? This should tell you how strong this is. We had a very strong, right, dip and rip, very strong push into it, 416 on the dot. Seller said, nope, not today. And we pushed that thing all the way back down past the low a day and made new lows on the day. That's a very strong level. And you can see after we rejected that, that was all she wrote on Tesla. So I'm waiting for that. I'm being very, very patient. Look at that. We pushed right into it. And since then, it just pulled back. So I'm looking for that on Tesla going into tomorrow. Just longs over 416. Pretty much, at least for me, as long as we're in between 416 and 383, I'm hands off. I'm treating this as a no trade zone. You can definitely look for your break and retest under the PDL, playing the rejection off the 416. I'd rather not. I'd rather just wait for the range break to each their own. But keep an eye out on this range break to either side on Tesla. NVIDIA. NVIDIA was going to be, I thought we were going to take this trade on NVIDIA. I definitely thought we were going to take this trade. We ended up breaking this later into the session anyway. I mean, we were already done. I pretty much wrap it up latest 8:30. Quick work day. But this happened exactly what I wanted. I wanted this gap and go off of 211. You can see we pushed up into 211 on the dot, rejected. Then I was looking for the pullback long off of 207. As you can see, we didn't get a deep enough pullback. We didn't fill that gap. And eventually we got above 211. So if you were able to catch that, kudos to you. You can see we broke above it, we held above it, and then we pushed higher. Beautiful. So what am I looking for tomorrow? Well, let's see. The daily candle is definitely going to close, right? It's going to close above 211. We'll see. We've got about like roughly 20 minutes. I think we will. I'm just looking for 211 to turn into support. That's really all I'm looking for. So going into tomorrow, I'll be looking for a pullback long off of 211. If we open up under it, then I'll be looking for a break and retest above 211. Patient pays. Don't forget about this 207. Do not forget about this. If we pull back here, it's still the gap fill. We still need to retest this. We know this is a key supply area. Well, it was. We broke above. I still want to see this turn into support. We ended up gapping above, all the way up, slapped in the face, pushed up to 212. So this is still a valid long down here at 207. Be patient. Look for that. So that's the game plan going into tomorrow on NVIDIA. If you zoom out here, like I said, I know we already went over this on the weekly outlook and the pre-market plan coming into today, but you can see very strong key level of resistance. It was. Look at that. Very, very strong. And it was support and then turn into resistance. We got that break above. I want to see us pull back, retest this, and then make our way back up into the top of the range. So 211 and 207 are the key levels watching on the video. But as of tomorrow, right, the main key level is going to be 211. But if we gap down or something during the after hours and pre-market, then you just want to see 207 turn into support. Be careful. If you trade under this PDL, just know you're going short into a key demand area. Apple, beautiful here on Apple, right? That was the game plan coming into today. Go back and watch that pre-market plan. Beautiful hold here, beautiful hold, even around open. I just didn't take this. You guys know me. I'm very big on being one and done, so you can let your winners compound. I highly recommend you build that habit and do the same. But Apple did its job. It wasn't the cleanest, but what did it do? It broke above 207. I'm sorry, 295, and it held its support, and it made its way higher. That was beautiful. This is why I say less is more, because if you focus on stocks and you trade them on a regular basis, you understand the personality of those stocks. So Apple is not really a name that I would really like to mess with on a day-to-day basis, like especially with a zero. But if you took Apple and you were messing around with a Friday, you can sit around in this as a base above 295 and get that push up into the upside. Can't do that on a zero. So, but very, very strong here on Apple. You can see straight downside. That dip got bought up very aggressively. You got that break, you got that retest, and we ended up holding 295. And then you can see just later into the session, look how beautifully we held this. So what am I looking for going into tomorrow? Well, I still want to see Apple hold 295. So I want to see a pullback long off of 295 here on Apple. That looks really, really good. Today it did its job. Right, range break here. Or break and retest above 301. We won't know until we know, but those are our two key levels here. If we fall under 295, I'm pretty much hands off here. We're going back into a no trade zone, a channel, which is a low probability environment. Amazon was my top side watch coming into today, and just like a lot of other names, Amazon just ended up giving you a gap and go. So we talked about this, right? This little range break, trend line break, setting up on Amazon, and ended up getting above 244 and pushed higher. But we ended up gapping above 244, and we never got that retest. It's pretty much the same thing that occurred on the SPY. Crazy recovery here on Amazon. It did its job. Right? I talked about this. It held at the bottom of this range very, very well. You can see pretty much 4 out of the 5 days we held this range very well. Actually 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row we held this very well. So that should tell you how strong 236 is. Buyers defended this, the bulls defended this. We had a very nice peak and fell. What happens when we fell a key level and reclaim it? We feel that move to the upside. Why? Because either shorts getting squeezed out of their positions for a loss. So that's what happened here on Amazon. Very beautiful and crazy, crazy recovery. More than a $10 plus recovery, pretty much just coming into open. We hit the lows at 233 and we opened up above 244. So crazy recovery here on Amazon. So what am I looking for going into tomorrow? We need to retest this. We broke 244. We gapped above it. This is a range break. I want to see us turn that into support. So I'm looking for a pullback long off of 244 on Amazon, or this break and retest over 250 back to the upside on Amazon. That looks really, really good. That's the game plan going into tomorrow. Palantir, I've been talking about this forever, and this thing just keeps doing what it's doing. I mean, last week, this thing literally pulled back to 126 on the dot, and you can see we're already bouncing. We talked about this. You get this trend line break here on the weekly time frame, this bull flag setup, and we're just going to make our way right back to the top of the range. That's all it's been doing. All you got to do is look left. It's done very well this year, just holding this 126. So Palantir really hasn't done anything. As for me, I don't really care to take anything in here. This is a low probability environment for me. Today, if you trade off the PDH, it gave you a great opportunity on a reclaim entry, even on the original setup. I'd just rather wait for the range break here on Palantir. So crazy. We just pulled back to 126, and now we're making our way back up to the top of the range. So just be patient there. You won't know until you know, but I'm just waiting for the range break if or when that sets up. But a very strong day here on Palantir. Hood, watch Hood here. Watch Hood. This is a big deal on Hood. What did Hood do? It broke the range on the weekly time frame. Look at that. So I have an alert set here waiting for this retest. It's either going to do two things, right? It's either going to pull back and hold, and then we can see a push up into 105. That would be very nice. Stair step higher, see our way higher, or it's going to be a peak and fail. We won't know until we know. So I do like that we started off today, pulling back. I love it. I want to see what we do. Can we turn this channel into support and see our way up into 195 and then get above 195 and see our way higher? So we won't know until we know. You can see Hood kind of hasn't really done anything this year as well. So this is a big deal. Get in that range break. That's why I do like, to an extent, news catalyst plays, because it gives us a boost, right? The news catalyst can be so strong. It can help us break ranges, and we can see that's pretty much what happened across the board over the weekend. So I don't mind the little boost here. So just watch Hood off of this 95. Can we turn it into support? That's a big deal. Google. Beautiful. Beautiful reaction here off of 370. Beautiful reaction here. Guys, I always say, it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. The only thing that invalidates technical analysis is news, and that's why I don't trade when red folder news comes out. That's a hard rule of mine. It's not a coincidence that every time we push up into 370, sellers are stepping in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the dot. Just wait for that. That looks really good. I'm looking for longs over 370, shorts under 351. This is all Google has been doing. There's nothing going on in here. There's nothing going on. So another push into the top of the range. And hammer stick candle right off of that. Hammer stick candle, bottom of the range, hammer stick candle, top of the range. So you can see Google and slapped in the face. We pushed up into 370. Right now we're at 366. So just be patient. Wait for that. Look at that. We just went red. So I'm waiting for Google here. It looked like, we'll get it today. Look at that. Looked like, we're going to get that today. Happened later into the session, so I was long gone by then. If you would have taken this, it would have been a good loss. You got proper displacement. You saw some wicks form in on the bottom. Depending on how you went about it, you got a 65-cent, breakout there. So to each their own. But nevertheless, watch 370. We're rejecting the top of the range. It's not a coincidence, guys. So just watch that. Wait for the range break. Anything in between, at least for me, anything in between 370 and 351 is a no trade zone for obvious reasons, low probability environment. Microsoft, big deal here. So the game plan coming into today was a pullback short off of 398. We needed to retest this. We needed to retest Microsoft. And you can see, well, seems like we had a peak and fell. We won't know until we know. We still got to let this play out. I'm going to go on the daily just to show you. Because the thing about Microsoft was we ended up gapping under 398. We never broke under it. Obviously, we broke under it. But what I'm saying is, not on the intraday. We didn't get that on the intraday. We ended up gapping under this on Thursday. And then you can see Friday, we just freaking tanked to 382. And then, right, crazy gap up here. So what were we looking for here on Microsoft? Was something like this. Right, this thing was in a range on the weekly time frame. But so far, kind of seems like, all right, did we get a peak and fell here on the weekly time frame? Let's go here on the weekly. You see exactly what I mean. So you can see Microsoft was just consolidated in between 434 and 398. We got slapped in the face at 369, and then we pulled all the way back. You can see the last 2 weeks on Microsoft was extremely bearish. So I was looking for that retest on the 398 to turn this channel into what? Resistance. If you zoom in here on the daily, it's still setting up. We really just have to read the daily here to see what we do. You can see based on how this candle will close, kind of just an even day between the bulls and the bears. Pretty even day here. So just be patient here. I would say, clearly I just zoomed out and I showed you what the higher time frame looks like. So the higher probability shot, for me at least, will still be this range break on the weekly time frame, a short under 398. The bears are in control. It's a very bearish name. Overall ticker, right, is red on the year, is lagging behind the overall market. So that's something to keep in mind. So 398, I'll be looking for a short there. If buyers step up here, hey, you can take your shot, and look to go long. You're getting long at the bottom of the range before it gets back to the top of the range because, well, we're just stuck in a range here on the weekly. So that's a good shot. That's a good RR. But for me, the higher time frame is saying bearish, so I'm not going to fight it. We won't know until we know, but keep an eye out here on this 398. Intel pretty much did its job today. If you're able to catch that at open, this looked really good pre-market. It was basing. It was holding very well. What was the game plan? Break and retest. 128. You got your solid displacement. You got your pullback. You can enter long here. You got paid very nicely there on Intel. We ended up pulling back, as you can see. We made all-time highs. This name is still very, very, very bullish. So going into tomorrow, I would just look for, break and retest over 128 here. You can see the previous day close is roughly around here, so we still got to fill that gap. So I wouldn't be surprised if we fill the gap here on Intel, and then we get back over 128. So just keep an eye out there. And then SpaceX. So I'm sure everyone and their mom is going to be looking at SpaceX tomorrow. I believe it's on the options chain. We'll see what it looks like. I don't doubt the volume, won't be there. If you look at the 1 minute time frame on Friday, it was crazy. Like, go look at the volume there. It was like 6 million a candle, 6 million plus a candle, which was insane. Obviously a record-breaking day for the IPO, so not too surprised. But I know everyone and their mom's going to be looking at SpaceX. A lot of people are calling it, the second Tesla. If that's the case, really not expecting much. Like I said, it's pretty insane that Tesla is red on the year. I don't think any of us expected that, but it is what it is. But our job is to react, not predict. I promise you, your career, your journey as a trader will be much easier if you just show up and react to what's happening in front of you in real time instead of trying to predict. That's the best advice I can give you. Be careful on social media. Social media, you got a lot of people trying to predict things and do this. Obviously, it's for engagement, it's for clicks, this and that. Just react to what's in front of you in real time, and you'll be way better off doing so. So we will keep an eye out here on SpaceX. Obviously, there's no higher time frame key levels. So just mark out the PDH and the PDL, and let's just see what happens there. My same rules still apply to how I trade options. If the delta's under 40, I'm not touching it. If the spreads are wider than 15 cents, I'm not touching it. The list goes on. So keep an eye out there. For my main watches going into tomorrow, let's see what Tesla does over 416. Can we get above it, or do we just reject the top of the range and we're going to make our way back down to the bottom of the range? I would love to see what SPY and Qs does. I would love to see SPY pull back and hold 752. That would be very nice. I would love to see Qs make new all-time highs and get over 747. Those would be some pretty big moves if those occur going into FOMC. And then Nvidia looks pretty good. Let's see if we can hold 211. Or if we pull back and get this pullback long off of 207. So pre-market looked very beautiful today. It looked great today. Market looks pretty good right now. Hopefully, let's keep this thing going. So on a crazy win streak, which is wild, but as you guys know, that crap doesn't matter. But it is cool to see. So nevertheless, I hope this helps, and I will see you guys on the